To consider something as an offense under Indian Penal Code, there need to be presence of two very important things, that is the intention and the act. That is what we are calling mens rea and actus reus. I think you have gone through my first video in this playlist where I have explained what is mens rea and actus reus, and by now we are very clear that what is act. Now the opposite word for act is omission. So if you are doing certain act with the intention, that can be an offense. But what if you are doing an omission with an intention? Is it an offense? Hey guys, welcome to my legal classes. This is Ganesh Pujari, and in the series of Indian Penal Code, we are focusing on chapter 2, which is all about general explanations covered between section 6 to 52A. And in that series, this is my 10th video where I am going to focus on very important 7 sections starting from section 32 to 38, which are all about act and omission. Now 7 sections are going to be lengthy, so what I have made, in the first slide I am giving an image, that is an illustration. With that I will help you guys to understand what is an act and what is an omission. From there all these 7 sections will become very easy. With that commitment I am taking you to slide number 1. First thing first, before we start any discussion from section 32 to 38, all these 7 sections are focusing on act and omission. So we need to understand what is an act and what is an omission. From there we will understand everything very easily. Now to help you to understand what is an act and what is an omission, I have an illustration. It's very easy. We have 2 people here. One is Mr. A, the other one is Mr. B. Now A is the caretaker of Mr. B. So as a caretaker, A was supposed to give food to Mr. B time to time. But A is not doing that. A is not doing for something which he was supposed to do. He is skipping that. Now by doing so, what is he doing? He is doing an omission. That is all about omission. Now on the other hand, as a caretaker, he was responsible to take care of Mr. B, but instead A is hitting B continuously or beating B continuously to death. Now B is dead. Now here A was not supposed to do that act, or he was not supposed to beat Mr. B, but he has done that act. So that is an act. So he has not done something, that is he was supposed to give food to Mr. B. He has not done that. That is an omission. And he was supposed to take care of B, but instead he is beating B, which is not an act which is expected from him. So that is an act. Whatever beating he is doing, no, that is an act. I hope act and omission is very clear now. From there everything becomes very easy. The first section that we are discussing is section 32 here, which discusses about words referring to acts include illegal omissions. And it says in every part of this code except where a contrary intention appears from the context, words which refer to acts done extend also to illegal omissions, which basically says throughout the Indian Penal Code, throughout all 511 sections, wherever the word act is used, that equals to omission also, unless and until there is a clear contrary intention appears from the context. That is what you need to understand from section 32. That basically says act is equal to omission, omission is equal to act. That is what we need to understand from section 32, unless and until there is any contrary intention available in any section of Indian Penal Code. Section 33 travels a little further from section 32 by saying the word act denotes as well a series of acts as a single act, and the word omission denotes as well a series of omissions as a single omission. Now what we need to understand from here, act means what? A person has shot dead another person. Now that is a single act. That is also is an act. Likewise, a person buys poison, mix it up with food and gives to another person, and because of eating that the other person dies. Now here there are several acts. All of that act is also covered as act. Likewise, what is an omission? A person was supposed to give oxygen to a patient, but he is not giving oxygen. He is not connecting that oxygen pipe. Now that is an omission. Just like that, there can be series of omissions. We already discussed in my image. A person who was responsible to give food, he is not giving food. So that is the first omission. And imagine, because of hunger, if the person becomes patient, and the person who is responsible, if he is not taking him to doctor, that is the second omission. And though he has some generic medicine at home, maybe the patient has got fever, he has some generic medicine, but even then he is not giving medicine, that is another omission. Now these are series of omission. When we say omission, it can be a single omission also, it can be series of omissions also. So that is what we need to understand from section 33. An act can be a single act or the series of acts. Just like that, an omission can be a single omission or maybe series of omission. Now that we are moving to section 34. From section 34, you will not see the term omission. But remember, wherever you read acts, you need to also understand it as an omission. That is very important aspect. And section 34 discusses about what? Acts done by several persons in furtherance of common intention. Now here acts or omission done by several persons, but that is done in furtherance of common intention. Everybody is having a same intention. Now what does the section say? It says, when a criminal act is done by several persons in furtherance of the common intention of all, each of such person is liable for that act in the same manner as if it were done by him alone. For every single act done by that particular group of people, everyone will be responsible for all the activities done by that group as if he or she has done it all alone. That is what you need to understand from section 34. The next section, section 35, is the continuation of section 34. Half of it straight away comes from section 34. Once you understand section 34, where there are several acts done by several people in furtherance of a common intention, every person is responsible for all the acts done by them. And section 35 goes little further by saying, when such an act is criminal by reason of its being done with a criminal knowledge or intention. Now if they were aware or if they had knowledge that whatever they are doing is a criminal act and they have done it in a criminal intention or maybe having criminal knowledge or intention. Now whatever is that, for all that act they have done, they all are responsible as if they have done it all alone. Now the section says, whenever an act which is criminal only by reason of its being done with a criminal knowledge or intention is done by several persons. Now here they have the knowledge or they have the intention or maybe both, and it is done by several persons. In that case, what happens? Each of such persons who joins in the act with such knowledge or intention is liable for the act in the same manner as if the act were done by him alone with that knowledge or intention. Now that is the responsibility which is increased in section 35. The next section, section 36, which is about effect caused partly by act and partly by omission. I need not to explain this too much because the first image that we have discussed is straight away from this section, where it says, whenever the causing of a certain effect or an attempt to cause that effect, maybe the effect is already been completed or it is planned to complete or attempted to complete by an act or by an omission, is an offense. Now it may be partially act and partially omission, but if it is done to cause certain effect or an attempt made to cause that effect, then in that case it is an offense. And it is to be understood that the causing of that effect partly by an act and partly by an omission is the same offense. That is what it continues. So basically, if you have done a partly act and partly omission, and if that is for the purpose of causing certain effect or to attempt effect, then that case it is an offense. Now for that, what is the illustration? Whatever we have discussed in the first image, where the person is not giving food, that is a partly omission, and then he is beating, so that is partly an act. Because of the combination of that, a person is dying. So here the death is the murder by the person who has partly not given food and he has beaten. So that is the output which has come partly because of an act, partly because of an omission. So that's about section 36. The next section, section 37, discusses about cooperation among different people, and it says cooperation by doing one of several acts constituting an offense. And the Barak provision says when an offense is committed by means of several acts, whoever intentionally cooperates in the commission of that offense by doing any of those acts. See the beauty of that particular line. There are three important parts. One, whoever intentionally cooperates. Second one, in the commission of that offense. The third one, by doing any one of those acts. Now it continues, either singly or jointly with any other person commits that offense. Now it's a very easy section, but we have three illustrations which make them further easy, and let us try understand them one by one. In the first illustration, what happens? There are two people, A and B, and together they want to kill Mr. Z. For that, they start giving a particular dose of poison daily. So by consuming it daily, one fine day Z dies, and here both A and B are punishable for the offense of murder. Now they both have murdered Mr. Z. That is how it is been seen. Individually they are murderer of Mr. Z, and together they have conducted this offense. Now both of them will go through the same punishment which is available for murder, which is what we need to understand from this particular illustration. In the second illustration, we have three people. The first two are A and B, who are the jailers, and the third person here is Z, who is a prisoner. Now A and B for some reason want to kill Mr. Z. Now for that, what they are doing, they both are working in shift. They are working 6 hours a day. So A and B discusses mutually and decides that they will not give food to Mr. Z. Now because of not getting food for so many days, Z dies of hunger. Now here in this case, A and B planned together and they did all the omission together, that is not giving food. So by not giving food, they caused the death of Z, and here they are guilty for the offense of murder. That is what we need to understand from illustration B. Then comes the very interesting illustration C. Now that helps us to understand how exactly we need to understand the term cooperation also. Here what happens? Again there are two people, A and B, and Mr. Z. Here what happens? A was the jailer and he was not giving food to Z, who is the prisoner. Now he was continuously not giving food. Because of that, Z became almost a patient. Now for some reason, A was dismissed from his office. Now A is not there. After A got dismissed, B comes to A's place. Now A and B don't know each other and there was no discussion between them, but for some reason B also doesn't like Z and he also doesn't give food to Z. And one fine day Z dies because of hunger. Now here what happens? For B, the punishment will be for the murder. Because of B not giving food, Z dead. So B is punishable under the offense of murder, whereas A is not punishable under the offense of murder because he has not committed murder. When A was dismissed, Z was still alive. Here A will be punishable only for the attempt to commit murder. He attempted to kill Z by not giving food. However, the result was not achieved, so he will be punished for attempt to commit murder. Now there was no cooperation. That is why the punishment is also different. And I hope you have understood all the illustrations very clearly. In the first two illustrations, there was cooperation between the people who have committed the offense. But in the third illustration, there was offense, but there was no cooperation between the two people who caused the actual result of the offense. One person who led to the level the second person who completed. So the person who led to that level has been committed attempt to commit murder, whereas the other one actually committed murder. That's what we need to understand from this section, and with that I am taking you to the last section, that is section 38. Section 38 discusses about persons concerned in criminal act may be guilty of different offences. Now, there may be two or more people who are concerned in a particular criminal act, but they might be guilty for different offences. May not be all of them are getting the same punishment, which is what we need to understand, because their offences may be different. And the section says, where several persons are engaged or concerned in the commission of a criminal act, they may be guilty of different offences by means of that act. And to make it simpler, we have illustration here also. What happens in the illustration? There are three people, one Mr. A, the other one is Mr. B, and the third person is Z. There was some argument between A and Z, and Z gives a grave provocation to Mr. A, and as a result of such a anger, A attacks Z. Now, while attacking, A had no intention to kill Z. But there comes Mr. B. Actually, B doesn't like Z. He hates Z and he wanted to kill Z. But what does he do? He takes the opportunity of this scenario and he gives further provocation to Mr. A. So finally what happens? A ends up killing Mr. Z. Now here, what has A committed? He has committed culpable homicide, because I told it is only because of the grave provocation he attacked Z. He had no intention to kill Z. There was mens rea missing. So it is only culpable homicide. Whereas what happens with B? B had very clear mens rea. He wanted to kill Z. And for that, he further did an act also. Actus reus is also available here. He has given provocation to Mr. A. That way, he has completed the offense. There is mens rea, there is actus reus. So, B is guilty of murder. Now, here you have to observe the difference of guilty of different offenses for Mr. A and B. A, for him, there was missing of mens rea. He did the act only because of the grave provocation given by Mr. Z and further provocation by B. But for B, what happened? He had very clear mens rea and actus reus. So he has committed, or he is guilty for the offense of the murder. But for A, it is only guilty for the offense of culpable homicide. I hope you are clearly understanding this difference, and with that, I am handing over this presentation to Nishan.
Light may be in different forms, but they all